everybody, and welcome to my video and final exam from the course Resources in ICT. I'm Kati, and today I want to present you my teaching project. The topic of my project is nutrition and food. It will also include the healthy lifestyle and the importance of healthy food, as well as the impact of unhealthy food. For example, too much sugar, fast food, and so on. Okay, but hey, before I get started, probably you will ask yourself why I chose this topic. Well, there's an easy answer. I will tell you right now. Let's go. First of all, this topic is one of the most important things in life, no? Without our health, we're not able to do anything. If we don't eat well or take a closer look to what we cook, for sure we'll get in troubles with our health. So that's one of the reasons, and for me personally the most important, why we should address this topic. Well, another reason to think about this topic is because students in primary school were supposed to learn about this. It's also included in the curriculum. So pupils should learn about healthy nutrition in general, healthy food and ingredients, as well as the impact to our body if we eat unhealthy, like fast food, or if we eat healthy. In the curriculum, the goals are these. The students can recognize the difference between healthy and unhealthy food. The students should be able to explain the meaning, importance of healthy nutrition. The students understand why a balanced and healthy nutrition is important for our body and brain. And the students can understand the impact and the negative consequences also to our brain and body of unhealthy food. Okay, now let's get in detail. Okay, I created 3 activities for 3 different teaching lessons. I used following AI tools: images and comics, stop motion, and Kahoot. Why did I choose them? As I already mentioned before, the students of my class aren't profis using technologies, so I decided to use 3 technologies because all of them are more or less easy to handle and well suited for beginners, but still a challenge for them. For that reason, I will also do not change off the AI because they're good as they are. The first activity is creating a comic with self-drawn images. The idea is to create a short story with 2 characters and more or less 4 pictures. The main focus is on healthy and unhealthy food and the process and effects to our body and brain when we eat healthy and unhealthy food. An example could be eating an apple and some chocolate before studying. With the apple you will have more success because it contains vitamins and helps you to concentrate, in comparison to the chocolate, which has a lot of sugar, where you will first get active and then get tired. Okay, but back to the activity. The class will be divided in groups of 4 students so that they can work effective. The students will get the instruction prompt to know how to handle this activity. Adapted to my students and the situation, I will give the instruction like this. Create a nice comic with at least 2 characters and 4 pictures, talking about the topic healthy and unhealthy food and habits in a day and how they affect our body and brain. Okay, so then the students get time to do the comic, to think about the story, to draw the scenes on the paper and to create it. Then the students will take a photo of each scene with one mobile phone. After that, they should transfer the photos to a laptop so that they can show the comic online to the other students, right? And like I just said, the students are actively learning how to make a comic because they do it on their own. Well, at the end of this activity, the students are supposed to present their comic to the class to show others what they did. So this activity ends with a presentation. I think it's always a good way to present the results because in this way the students are repeating and reflecting their process and final work, and they're also practicing talking and presenting in front of other people. So the value of this tool is that it allows a lot of creativity because students can create their own story. It also gives a lot of motivation and engagement because it's not a theoretical thing, so it makes it also fun to do it. Okay, now I want to show you my example for this activity, my self-made comic. Enjoy! Continuing with the second activity, I choose the stop motion video. The idea in this activity is to show healthy and unhealthy food and that healthy food is leading to a better lifestyle. Also in this activity, the class will be divided in groups of 4 students. At the beginning, the students will get the instruction to make a stop motion video. For this activity, it's important that the students also bring some food into the school. Before doing this lesson, I've talked with the students about this topic, obviously. The pupils will think about a storyline to make a good stop motion video to this topic. Then they have time to film it, to edit with the technology stop motion video or also CapCut in the computer room. In this activity, it's important that students learn how to create a good and meaningful stop motion video and how to edit in a good and professional way. The students are in the active role, means they are doing the process. Also, the value of this digital tool, it allows a lot of creativity and storytelling. It improves speaking skills. It also has patience and precision. So it's about to plan something, and it can be used in any other subjects too. Well, I will show you the stop motion video I did as an example. I made it with Stop Motion Studio. In my last activity, I decided to create a Kahoot quiz because personally I think a Kahoot quiz is the perfect opportunity to repeat the topic and the content in a funny and motivating way. So we'll split the class in two groups. One is making the Kahoot quiz with the questions and the other group is playing it. After that, the groups will change and now the group will make some questions for the other students to answer. So both groups should have done both parts at the end, creating the questions as well as playing the Kahoot. The presentation of the Kahoot should be with the beamer. In this way, the students can also see another digital tool. After both groups played the Kahoot, I planned a reflection round, which means that each group will reflect their work, like how were the questions, how did the whole process go, what was good, bad, how was it to use Kahoot, and so on. My instruction for the Kahoot: think about the first two activities and their topics. In relation to this, think about some questions, at least 10. You also need to think about possible answers, obviously also including the right one, and then create the Kahoot. For this activity, we will be in the computer room where the students have the possibility to use the laptops to create and make the Kahoot. The value of this digital tool: motivation through gamification. It's a positive thing that's basically it's learning by doing, learning with fun. Also, you have immediately feedback, good differentiation options, and repetition and consolidation of knowledge. To give you an example how it looks like, I created the questions in the Kahoot. As you can see here, I created a rubric to evaluate the students. The points you see are from 0 to 5. I created this rubric based on what the curriculum says and on my activities. I looked at the goals which the students should achieve, so I know how and which part should be rated. For example, in the curriculum it says that work must be structured, so I decided to put an area where it rates the organization, element, etc. I also use Deeply and sometimes ChatGPT to help me forming the sentence or to get a structure. So the next rubric was rubric for e-learning tools, evaluation, where I focused on privacy, data protection and rights as well as policies. This rubric evaluates also the technologies because every time you evaluate, you need to evaluate also the tools you need, not only the students. So I'm going to evaluate my tools too. In my case, I can evaluate Stop Motion and Kahoot. Stop Motion Studio or Maker is an app which is easy to download. I didn't even have to register. You can just sign up with your name. It's also easy to handle. At the beginning, you have some instructions and then you should know how to use it, and honestly, it was easy. Regarding to the data privacy, you're able to control your own data and all the stuff you do in the app. One disadvantage of this app, which you have also in other apps, is that you have to pay for more options. For example, if you want to have more possibilities like premium functions or something like this. But still, for the basic stuff, I think it's completely enough to use it without paying. The other tool I evaluated was Kahoot. I feel it's quite similar. For example, you also have to pay if you want to use more functions like other types of quizzes or pictures to answer and so on. Another thing is that you should create an account which is different to StopMotion, but still a nice option even if you put some personal data information. The benefit for the players is that they just can enter the Kahoot game without making an account or registering. They just scan the QR code and then they can play, which makes using the app quite easy. Furthermore, it is also important to take a look at the ACAD framework. This framework is important to design activities. ACAD means activity-centered, analysis, and design. ACAD is divided in 3 dimensions: set design, social design, and epistemic design. In my exam for the set design, I chose to be in the aula as well as in computer rooms, because we will need to be in the room while making the Kahoot now. So the students will also need mobile phones to make the StopMotion video. They also need paper and pencils for drawing and preparing the StopMotion video and comic. The social design describes the way students are in groups. For example, I chose also the publicum because during presenting the Kahoot, the students will also experience how it is having a publicum. There are also persons who need to have the idea and to work, because everybody in the group has to take a role to have a nice group work. Then in the epistemic design, the focus was on the learning tasks. For instance, it's part of all activities to make brainstorming to get some ideas. Also, solving questions is included by doing the Kahoot. It's also part of the task the students evaluate their own work and also to give feedback to the other groups. Now we reached the second part of the final exam, which was answering some questions. Question number 2. I think 4 most important concepts that we had explored during this course for me, I would say, was TPEC and PICRED. PICRED is a technology integration model for teacher education intended to assist teachers improving their classroom practice. For example, imagine that you have the topic global water distribution. Usually this topic is only taught in theory, no? And really teacher-centered, so the students don't think deeper in these topics. PICRED can be very useful here because it asks important questions like, what is the student doing? How is the technology affecting the teaching lesson? So it's useful because you can ask yourself important questions to change and to improve habits. The second one was PLE, which means personal learning environment. It's a concept in education that refers to the learning space created by an individual to support their personal and professional growth. Okay, for example, think of being a teacher who teaches German. The level of the students is different and everybody needs another kind of support. So here, PLE can be useful, for instance, to create an own individual learning environment. The teacher can help the students to develop a personal PLE by making some learning platforms, for example. In general, PLE can be useful for me as a teacher because it allows individual learning for everybody, and you can also observe the students, how they work and improve, so you see the process, which is really useful. Stop motion. Stop motion animation can be defined as an animation technique made by taking pictures of small movements that change each frame. Example, the concept of stop motion could be very useful for me, for example, by teaching the past tense to students who don't have German as their first language. Mostly they struggle with using the correct time. But for instance, if you use the concept stop motion, they need to think of a story in the past for the stop motion video. It's also good because they are not learning in a hard, directly way, they're learning in an indirectly and more fun way. And for me, it could be useful because it combines creative working with language learning. The Merge Cube is a black and silver physical cube that has inline designs that interact with various Merge Cube apps to transform the cube into a digital canvas, whether that entails the solar system, the body, or a pocket aquarium. Imagine your students are struggling with three-dimensional anatomical structures, which are in some school books. Merge Cube could be very useful because abstract content can be experienced concretely, and so especially visual learn types get a lot of support and help. For me personally, Merge Cube could be so useful because it helps me to differentiate, to reach weak as well as strong students. Question number 4. Thematized the DIT Competu framework. It means Digital Competence Framework for Educators, and is a European model which describes which digital competences teachers need to use digital technologies effectively in the classroom. I chose 3 of 6 elements. The first one is the digital resources. That means that you're able as a teacher to choose digital material in a way where it makes sense and is suitable for teaching lessons. So basically it focuses on the adaptation of the digital material for the lessons. But it also contains the management, organization and evaluation of teaching material. In my case, related to this element, I think I learned, especially with the Merge Cube, how to edit it so that I can use and implement it in primary school. Honestly, I knew this tool before only using it with adults, so in the course I learned how to adapt it using it with children. Professional engagement is the first element. This area describes more the way how teachers use digital technologies for their professional communication, collaboration, development and organization. Therefore, it's not directly about teaching, but about the professional use of digital media in the school environment. For instance, I think that I got this competence when we talked about different AIs and also about the robot Cody Roki, because these things are not only important for teaching, they are more important for further development of our professional practice in the future, you know. For that, I think it was quite a nice practice and possibility. Teaching and learning is another element of the DigiCompetu framework. Teaching and learning describes how teachers use digital technologies to specifically organize, structure and support learning processes. For example, it's about the methodological and didactic interpretation of digital tools and adapting lessons to different learning needs. Personally, for me, the example here is also the Merge Cube, because this activity I was a star and I presented the activity together with Christina. I planned the whole lesson and the activity in the way we will do it with our children, the other students, while I learned a lot here. Why this example? Because I did the whole exactly plan. I needed to think in advance how I want to do it, how I want to integrate the Merge Cube, how to adapt the tasks I was thinking of in a way also children in primary school can do it, and so on. So I focused a lot of methodological ways, thinking and all that. Okay, we're already coming to the last question. Honestly, I would give myself an 8 out of 10 because I think I did quite a good job. To be honest, I put a lot of effort and time in this exam. Also, most of the ideas for activities came from my mind, and I really thought, how can I develop and edit these activities suitable to the students, and the topic with focusing on digital competences. For that, I think I deserve more or less the grade 8. I also know that I could have done better in answering the previous questions, but the truth is I was a little bit confused and overwhelmed with these questions. All in all, I think it was good, and I have a nice project which I think I can use and realize like this one day in school. I think the most challenging role for me was the facilitator and sometimes the analyst. It depended on the task. When I was the facilitator, it was difficult for me to have my things on time and to also follow the timeline. I don't know, to be honest, this is not one of my biggest strengths. But hey, I improved during the semester, so at the end it wasn't that hard anymore to be the role facilitator. The analyst was also hard for me sometimes because partly it was difficult for me to understand what exactly the other groups were doing. I tried my best and analyzed the other blogs posts as well as good as I could, but it wasn't always easy for me. So basically I would say that the analyst was the most challenging role I undertook in this course. Regarding to the AI, I would say that I didn't use a lot of AI tools for this exam. I feel like I didn't need it so much because I had my ideas of the activities really fast. So honestly, I just asked ChatGPT or Gemini for first ideas, but then I continued with on my own. So thanks to my previous education, I got really creative and got used to it, to think in these ways. So for me, it's normal to think about creative ideas and projects without using AI, because this is not really welcome in my faculty in Austria. So I think my humidity did a lot of work in this exam. Nevertheless, I used some digital tools like the translator's help from Deeply. Thank you for paying attention to watch and listen to my video. I hope you like it. Wish you all the best, and keep in mind, chocolate every day attracts the doctor anyway, but an apple a day keeps the doctor so far away. Have a nice day. Bye bye.